Alright, first start up, baby, with the new camera action. See how this goes. I think I got everything adjusted alright. Woo! Let's go for a ride, baby. I don't know if you can see this, but we got some new foot pegs on the Harley. Think we got some gas. Don't know what else we would need. All right. Well, it's a balmy 42 degrees outside today. We got some rain on Monday and Tuesday. So, not too worried about getting the bike all salty. Ain't nobody got time for that. Main thing I'm being a little bit more cautious of right about now is dealing with these other drivers out here. These folks in these cages. Reason being is it's just barely warm. There's not a whole lot of us out here on two wheels, and they not always out here looking for me, you know. But I'm looking for me. I'm always making sure I got a couple escape routes. Gotta have those. Bike's been running good. That cold air on the air-cooled engine is a nice thing. Alright, so this is the first time I'm out here riding with the camera. First time riding with my new headset. It's pretty cool. Got this all set up just a bit ago. Catching a little bit of the sunset. Want to make sure I make it back before it gets dark, because this is Michigan, and as you can see, we got a lot of potholes everywhere. Got a lot of new parts on the motorcycle. Got a lot more to get put on. The new saddle, that was more for the lady. We ride two up quite a bit, and I had what I at least thought was a gorgeous saddle on the bike, and it was comfortable for me, but it was a little narrow for the wife's derriere. So I figured I should be a little bit more kind, and switched out my black and red saddle for a all black one. And what's pretty sweet about this one is it has some built-in adjustment. So if you're going on a longer ride and maybe you wanted the seat or the saddle to start off a little more firm, but later on change your mind and decide that you need a little bit more of that cush action, you can do that with two buttons on the side of the saddle. And not only can I adjust my firmness for me as the driver, but the pillion can also adjust to their liking. So that's kind of nice. Likely will increase our two-up range from the hour and a half that's kind of been the max for her to hopefully at least 2 hours. Nice thing about bittersweet thing about the Sportster, it's not like it's got that big of a gas tank anyway, so a little bit after 100 miles of highway we're pulling off to fill up. So I was thinking we'd take a ride over to the south side, and then maybe I'd loop back from there and swing by the local Harley dealer. They're not open today. It's Sunday, and it's 6 o'clock in the great state of Michigan, but I always kind of enjoy riding over that way. There's some fun little back roads down that direction, but I haven't ridden out this way on the bike in a while, so figure what the heck, get out for a nice little 30-minute afternoon ride and maybe check out some roads I've never been on before. Map out some, maybe some new fun locations to ride to. Who knows, just cruising, you know. I'll likely pull over in about 15-20 minutes so you all can check out some of the modifications to the bike. I'm loving this bike. Loving it a lot. So while we're riding and we're just cruising instead of not talking at all, I give you a little bit of background on me and the bike I'm riding before we hop off of it. I'm about 6'3", 6'2" and some change, riding a 2015 Iron 883. It's not an 883 anymore. I purchased this bike new from my local Harley dealer in, was it April, May? That's too early. I think in May is when I took the Harley class to get my riding endorsement. So maybe it was like the first week of June. That sounds more likely, a little bit before my birthday. And I think by the end of July, that might be too early. More likely August. Mid-August probably is when I took the bike in to switch over from an 883 to a 1200. There's a couple options for the 1200 kit. I did decide to do it through Harley just to maintain that warranty, you know, new bike and all. Just put my mind at ease a little. Horsepower a little bit higher up in the RPM range, so it's not quite as low as you probably would assume. Not quite as low, I shouldn't say as you would assume, but as a traditional Harley might be. So you know what? I'm liking heading out this way because we actually just sort of got out of the main area of town. So I think I'm gonna shoot straight down this way for a bit till a hidden gym, a hidden restaurant that me and the wife likes to go to. It's called English Inn. Some good grub and not too long of a ride. The roads kind of get a little bit better the further you get outside of town, and heading that way would likely result in a short little stint. Wouldn't really be discovering much new in the way of roads, but don't really have to be trying to find new roads today. So yeah, back to what I was talking about the bike. So late August or so is when I switched over from the 883 to the 1200, and that was great. I originally went with the 883. Well, I originally wasn't even thinking about getting a Harley. Okay, so that's sort of square one. I knew I was going through the Harley Davidson Riding Academy, but I was more looking at a couple sports bikes, looking at a few. I was looking at a Can-Am Spider. I thought that would be kind of cool. What was the other? Oh, and then I was looking at a dual sport bike. So yeah, I was kind of all over the place, and it wasn't until I took the Riding Academy through my local Harley. We did the class on some street 500s or 750s. It was probably the 500 because new riders, no reason to put us on the 750. Or if they did, I know that whichever one it was detuned. They did reference that they didn't leave it as hot, quote unquote. It's kind of funny now thinking about the fact that they detune those bikes because there's not too much there in the sense of really going to get you in trouble. But I do appreciate that because as a new rider, you know, people coming out never put their butt on the saddle before, hey, there's no reason to even be giving them all that gusto when we're really not going much beyond 30 miles per hour, probably 35 in the parking lot for the class. So like I mentioned earlier, this is first time, you know, with this setup. I don't know how well you're going to be able to hear me. I watched a lot of reviews on the camera, and it seemed as though I was still going to hear, you know, my traditional wind noise, right? Nothing should change there, but with the Sena 20s and what that does to sort of reduce wind noise coming into the microphone for communicating with other riders, it supposedly, or it should at least, reduce the amount of wind noise you all are hearing with my voiceover. So we'll see how that comes out. When I get back to the house, I'll download the footage, and if it's not usable, it's not usable. But for either way, I'll learn from it. And I did a real short, maybe 40-second clip in the mirror at the house to try to get a sense of where the camera was pointing in comparison to where I was looking. And I was okay. I was happy with that, but still, it was hard to gauge where my head was going to be when I got on the bike. You know, I couldn't really remember how tough that would be, and then without having a mirror right in front of me when I'm sitting on the bike in the garage, I still wouldn't be able to really tell where the camera lens was pointing. So, yeah, this is full trial and error. I sort of accounted for a little bit of head. I didn't like head going down. I didn't, you know, set it up to be tugged, but I knew that my head wasn't traditionally straight up. This is sort of me looking straight up as if I was sitting in a chair at work. And I kind of sit a little bit more about right here. So hopefully I did an okay job of that. I mean, I assume it'll be some adjustments. The likelihood of me getting it perfect on the first try, slim to none. Alright, so that was quite a bit of a divergent from the story. But going back to the bike. So it's my first bike. I took the class on some street 500s or 750s. And being in the Harley dealer, I think it was 4 days. We finished everything in a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Saturday and Sunday was all the riding stuff. Thursday and Friday was test prep, taking the exam. Two of our instructors were police officers, one from a town that me and my wife used to live in, and the other was actually a police officer riding instructor from Michigan State University. So, yeah, finished all that up, or actually going in there, you know, 2 days in a row to the dealership, and you just walk through, you know, you see all the bikes, they give you a tour of the whole facility. I mean, I don't blame them, right, if they're going to put in the effort to try to get more people on motorcycles. Why would they not want to, you know, at least get you, or try to get you interested in the bikes they have there? And this pearly bad boy caught my attention. Harleys were really not something I was considering initially either, just price, you know. First bike, you hear all the stories about dropping it. I wasn't really too concerned about dropping my bike, but there was some rider aids that I was looking for on the first motorcycle, and that was ABS. After taking a class, we were in like a real slick parking lot. My instructor dropped the bike one of the days just because of how greasy that parking lot was, and that kind of sold me on, you know, it's 2017 at the time. There's no reason I should be getting a bike without ABS as a new rider. I know it's a lot of controversy around, you know, do you need it, do you not need it? A new rider likely would benefit from getting a bike with ABS, but it can be a hindrance, so I'm learning how to brake. And the nice thing though is if you ever try to do, you know, practice a hard stop on at least this bike, you get some feedback, you know, similar to in your car when you smash on that pedal and lock those wheels up attempt to lock those wheels up. It vibrates a little bit, right? You get that little buzz. So that sort of allows you to practice, in my opinion, and I don't necessarily recommend spending a whole lot of time practicing this, but get to a safe parking lot somewhere you're not too concerned with dumping the bike, and give her a nice firm squeeze. And the reason I recommend doing that is you'll be able to see, you know, when does that buzz kick in? What's the threshold that you have? What's max braking feel? Because although ABS is useful, it's only going to help you so much, right? Straight lines, ideally. But if you are coming up to a turn, coming in too hot and already leaned over and you grab a fistful of that, you probably, you might still have a non-ideal day, you know? So we're actually coming up on where I'm planning to turn around, so I'll plan to do just that right here. This won't be where I stop and show you all the bike. It's not a good setup for that. People try to relax and eat a nice meal here, you know. And my bike is a little noisy. But as you can see, this is English Inn right here. It's pretty nice because it's a bed and breakfast. You got cottages over there. You actually can see the water. A lot of people get married there. And that might have been something we considered that we known of the place. So yeah, ABS. I wanted a bike with ABS. So after taking the class and everything, I kind of got a little bit more interested in getting a Harley, and I swung back into the dealership and just started looking at, you know, what here could likely be in my price range, you know. And I saw this shiny silver bike, and yeah, I know it doesn't have very much resemblance at all, but one of my favorite movies of all time is Gone in 60 Seconds. And I wanted my own little Eleanor, you know, nice silver machine, something I need to tame, and it's my, what better time to try to tame something than your first motorcycle. So then I started to sort of reframe what bikes I was looking at. I kept that Can-Am Spider on the list, I know. Blasphemy, 3 wheels, not really a traditional scoot. The dealership directly across from Harley had a Victory Octane, and boy, did I like that Octane. But the issue was there's no test rides. They don't allow test rides over there, and that bike didn't have ABS. Now, knowing what I know now about motorcycles and the fact that Victory, you know, just announced that they closed not too long after that, I think I made the right decision, right? There's still some pros and cons to it. Like, as much as I like that Victory, the not having ABS freaked me out a little bit, and I would be fine. I don't think I'd be too concerned about not having ABS on the bike now, but I probably would have dropped it, right? I mean, just at least once of grabbing too much brake, maybe, you know, putting my wife on the back of the bike a little sooner than I should, not really fully understanding braking threshold and not having ABS to kind of help me out. That might not have been the best idea, nor would I want to put my significant other in any situation like that. So I did also, you know, take my time before I got her on the bike. But so the Victory was exciting to me because, you know, you got the 1200 cc's out the gate, you know, in comparison to this 883, and I didn't really know really look too deep into what that was going to be pushing out for power, right? I mean, those little street 500s felt like plenty enough spunk during the class. But I was able to go over to Harley, test ride this bike. I went over to my local Honda dealer and test rode a Honda CRF 250L Rally. Oh, and I like that bike quite a bit, but the one they had was the one without ABS again. And sure, they could have ordered one up, but my biggest reservation about the 250 was I'm not the littlest guy, right? 6'2" and a half, about 220 pounds. The fact that my wife might ride with me sometimes, the fact that, you know, I live in Lansing, my parents live in Metro Detroit, trying to go meet up with them, car shows, things like that. As much as I would like to do those trips every time on the back roads, there's some instances where you just want to hop on the highway and get there a little bit quicker. And I wanted to be able to have a little gusto, a little bit of passive power in case, you know, you get a car that's not paying attention. I really just didn't want the bike whining at me the whole ride. And, you know, 883, when we talk about Harleys, this isn't the best highway cruiser in the sense of, you know, not stressing the bike out. I mean, it handles 70, 80 all day, right? Nothing to really worry about. But yeah, the RPM's not as low as getting on a big cruiser with a six-speed transmission, because this only has a 5-speed transmission, which I think is plenty. So I kind of wrote the Victory out for that. Although the insurance on the Victory was lower than my Harley, both of them respectable, within like $10 a month of each other. But I just decided, after watching a couple videos of some other motor vloggers doing some test rides and saying, yeah, that's totally not a beginner bike. And I agree with them. I don't think the Octane is a good beginner bike. I would say, you know, had the Indian Scout Bobber been out when I was picking up my first motorcycle, that might have been in contention. The reason being is because you can get the Bobber in ABS, with ABS in one of the trims. It's got a nice look to it. I do like the look of that bike. And that division of Polaris isn't going out of business anytime soon, so that I would suspect. So that would have been a nice bike to have, you know, getting that 100 horsepower. I might, you know, right about there with the torque. When we talk about, you know, the ratings and the crank first, what I'm getting at the wheel, might with that Scout Bobber or close enough with torque. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a little bit more horsepower. I wouldn't complain about that. But the nice thing is this allows me to grow into the bike, you know. And going to the 1200 kit was real reasonable. It wasn't very expensive at all. Now they have the Iron 1200 out. That's a whole different sort of conversation about the value there, because it's only $1,000 more than the 883. But you know, I did pick up a leftover 2015 new in 2017 and with ABS and hard candy custom color, and got a nice deal on it. I don't remember all the numbers, but I got all the numbers at the house. Maybe that'll be a fun separate video. So basically, I thought this was the right speed, switched to the 1200 kit, and then got to that point to pick this bike over the Can-Am. I started reading all the horror stories about reliabilities on some of those Spyders. We currently have a house with a single lane driveway. We keep a camper in the driveway, so it wasn't going to be very convenient trying to get the bike in and out of the Spyder in and out of the garage. It would have been outside until, you know, winter came, and I decided I wasn't going to ride for a significant amount of time. Although I might have tried to get out a little bit more this winter if I had that Spyder. I know that it's not really ideal for winter riding either, because it can't really do what it looks like it can do, right? It's not a snowmobile. It doesn't operate very well when the roads get slick, but hey, it operates better than this. It does when the roads get slick, so I might have extended the season just a tad bit more. Likely would have had my wife's confidence with riding with me a little bit higher, a little bit sooner. Although, you know, it also created a hindrance. I was a new rider trying to learn motorcycles, and jumping straight on a 3-wheel machine wouldn't have really trained me on all of the skills that I likely would be wanting to develop and continuing to develop, given that I would likely switch to a 2-wheel motorcycle at that point in time. Or even if I didn't, I would likely be trying to test ride 2-wheel motorcycles at, you know, different dealer events, or when I'm hanging around with friends with it and hopping on their bikes. And one, you always have that new learning curve when you're hopping on a different motorcycle. You're kind of relearning that bike. I have to learn that bike a little bit. But to not ride a 2-wheel machine and being a new rider and on a trike or a reverse trike, yeah, that might have got me into some trouble too. So ultimately, I think I made the right decision going with a conventional motorcycle. I really appreciate Harley, and I think I'll do a separate motor vlog on what it's like being a part of the Harley community as a younger rider. What it's like maybe being a part of the Harley community as a new rider, what that looks like, in sort of both. Maybe that's one sort of video. But it's damn good, because this bike sounds damn good. Yeah, I was a car enthusiast, grew up a car enthusiast, so this rumble's nice in comparison to some of those bikes. It sounds like the cliche word sewing machines. Pothole city. I don't know if you can see all these potholes. You can't even avoid them all. It's just, hopefully you don't fall into something that's a crevice or freaking Grand Canyon deep. I did get the wheel and tire package. Maybe I can talk about, you know, should you get extended warranties or wheel and tire packages. And that always, I would say that most definitely varies depending upon where you live or what you're trying to do with the machine. But here, with all these potholes, you want some wheel and tire extra insurance if it's cheap enough. You know, the price works out and it's reasonable. Because I bent a rim on my Fiesta ST just going to dinner. I think we're doing like 25 miles per hour and on a side street, and yeah, it wasn't pretty. My wife was with me. It was like a ding, like I was at the gun range shooting metal planks. So I recommend it here. It's not the prettiest thing to be riding on. That's why I don't really want to be out here too late tonight. Just because, you know, getting my riding skills sharp again. I got out a decent bit during the month of January and February in comparison to what type of riding should be happening then. I would say that would be zero. But when you're reacclimating, getting back into riding, dealing with all these new obstacles, people not being aware of or being ready for motorcycles to be out here yet, and potholes on top of that, probably not the best idea to just be running through the darkness. So I won't. But I do want to get somewhere and just do a walk around of the bike. I'll likely do a separate video of sort of a full-fledged walk around, but I figure this would be useful because it'll let me kind of see if I have any sort of compromise with the camera, right? If the camera's in a pretty good position, you know, good riding height, or a good height when in the saddle, but what does that look like if I'm up walking around, you know? Who knows, I might decide to do some videos up off the bike, maybe at some motorcycle events this spring that I ride out to. And it'd be kind of nice to know if, you know, I'm looking straight up at the moon or too low when off the bike in comparison to what it looks like when I'm on. But it's been great. It's been great riding so far. My wife seems to enjoy it. She's thinking about potentially getting her cycling endorsement this year. She picked up a scooter, a Japanese scooter, a little Honda. Honda Metropolitan. She bought one new from my local Honda dealer. Some great people over there. And she was actually commuting to work on that. We both work at a big state university. Hey, scooters are all the rage. Get where you gotta go. I actually might hop on that a little bit later tonight and just scoot around the neighborhood so we can keep on riding, you know. I did get that out a couple times in the snow. People probably thought I was all types of crazy. But yeah, she's been riding quite a bit, put about 1,000 miles on that scooter this summer. She's most definitely a fair weather rider. Don't blame her. There's no reason to really be pushing the envelope and making the ride unenjoyable if you don't enjoy that sort of challenge. I've been riding pretty much rain or shine, but not rain or snow. Got caught in the snow a couple times. It's a Harley. Yeah, good to go. Yep, it's a Sportster. Have a good one. I tried to shift to neutral so I could lift my shade up, my visor up with my left hand, but went to second gear. And then that lane is real bad with the potholes. But yeah, she's been riding, and you know, the nice thing if she can take the class, it's pretty cheap through our local community college. Just let her see, you know, if she can do it, which I don't think there's any reason why she couldn't. But if she even enjoys, you know, riding a manual transmission motorcycle, if she says she likes that, not that big of a deal, then maybe she gets one this summer. Maybe she decides that she doesn't really like riding on the manual, even if she passes the class, and you know, we can go right back to that Honda dealership, and not only do they have, you know, the DCT, dual clutch transmission, so basically automatic motorcycles, but they also have some bigger scooters, if she wanted to do one of those. That way she can do a little highway ride, and you know, on that little metropolitan, there's certain roads she really shouldn't be going on because it's not fast enough, you know. So she's looking at some bigger scooters. We're looking into some Vespas, a Vespa 300, you know. It's looks are important. I don't blame her. I didn't want to get a bike that I didn't think was aesthetically pleasing, nor would I want her to have to ride something that she doesn't like the look of. So she was looking at some Vespas. We might order one of those up if she thinks that that's what she wants to do. So we'll just see how that goes. Or, you know, maybe she decides that she doesn't want to ride at all beyond what she already has, and that's cool. It's not as cool, but it's cool. Yeah, so I'll find somewhere to stop briefly just to do a quick walk around and talk about the bike. I won't likely do that for too long because as you can see, it's getting dark. We're losing the lighting. Don't really feel like actually going all the way down to my local Harley dealer now. Get back to the house, getting closer to dinner time. It's chilly out here. I got my heated gloves on, but I don't know if I charged them. I guess I could turn them on and see. So one, I don't know if I charged them. Since my wife was using them, we went up to the Upper Peninsula for some fat biking. Good time. So they might not be charged, and that cold is starting to seep in a little bit. And it's not fun being cold. Not fun at all. You know what? I might, well, no. That's just a neighborhood. Those are some craters right there. That's stuff I don't like. Plus the video is likely getting kind of long. It's probably 20-30 minutes. I might mess around with some editing, but I was planning to just toss this up there raw. A little raw footage of this ride. Get the bike a little cookie. Gotta give it some cookie before it gets too dark out here where I can still see all these troll holes in the road. People might be at the church. This loud pipes save lives, but they do limit random places you can pull into to just sit. You know? I guess I could have went up there. That would have kept me close enough to the house and make it easy to turn around. But maybe I'll just go up to the river trail right up here and pull off to the side. I'll probably have to shut it down because people probably sit. Well, it's still chilly. Probably not that many people are sitting out there looking at the water. Yeah, sweet. Nobody's right here. So we'll just come in right over here and park it next to Lake Lansing. That way I can just flip her around and get to heading back the other way. I might flip her around now, actually. Yeah, sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? So one of the sweet things about this camera is I could use the camera and take some burst shots and some still shots, but I don't know how many buttons to click. I got my big old hammer fist on, but I do have my camera mount up, or my phone mounted up here, and that's a Pixel 2. Great camera. I probably waited a little too long for a good ideal lighting, but that's not a bad spot for a quick little shot. Take a photo. Traffic's picking up, so gotta be mindful of that. Not trying to get hit by no cage. Little back shot, but we'll do a little walk around. Let me just get one side shot here, and then I probably can't actually get too good a one because I'm saying trying to get the lake in it. Yeah, whatever. Not that big of a deal. Oh, let me put this back on the mountain. Do a quick little walk around of the bike. And like I said, maybe I'll do a longer one, really going into detail about what's all on it. But this is just so I can see what I chose to do to this bike thus far to make it my own. So we got the fan on there. I didn't mind riding naked, but without the fan. But it's just something not complete about the look to me. That cut down on the wind noise quite a bit. So when we had our cheap Chinese headsets, me and my wife could hear each other at slightly higher speeds. We stay in the front of the bike. And then it also allowed me to get up to speed a little bit faster because my chest was acting as sort of a parachute, and that was slowing me down a little bit. I mean, not slowing me down, but I didn't realize how big of a difference this could make. Tuck your head down and how much faster you get on the get up to speed when you get on the highway. I got the Bunking crash bar. Those traditionally come in black. When I called them to order it up, I just asked, can you send it raw or powder coated? I originally was thinking maybe like a wrinkle black finish, but I went with red. And the whole red theme all started with these Burley brand shocks. Ran to up again, I knew the stock shocks had to go. Wasn't intent on dropping a whole bunch of coin on rear suspension, and these actually have been great. I do have the Bunking rear swing arm lift kit now to get another 1.25 inches out. That way when I'm riding solo, I can soften the preload a little bit, get the right height I still like. And I also have progressive springs and Burley brand preload adjusters at the house. I'm hoping to do those myself. We'll see how that goes. I might actually be lucky with the risers and everything being on here. If I just remove my back, I might be able to get the springs in and out without taking this fan off, because it was a pain to get that all aligned just how I like it and everything. So if I don't have to touch it, that would be great. And the reason I'm doing the springs is, I'm a bigger dude in general, so it's undersprung for me off the get-go, and you get a whole lot of sorry, I was trying to see if gloves have no juice. You get a whole lot of fork dive, which I was somewhat okay living with because it makes it a little bit more exciting when you're on the highway. When you give it a little cookie and it feels like you're just raising up, even though the wheel's still firmly planted on the ground. But this saddle, when I switch this saddle, has me cant it a little bit more forward, and it's not as grippy. So it's a whole lot of sliding. I move forward more than I would like, and being able to keep it from diving as much would allow me to not have to put as much pressure on the bars to keep myself planted in the seats. So I won't go over all the mods. The Thrash and Supply bags have been great, because I'll do a full walk around and talk about all this in detail. But only thing that I've messed with today or this weekend is I finally went with matching foot pegs. If you looked at my brief exhaust clip video, you'll see I had some bicycle pegs up here, which I really like, but I didn't like how far they stuck out. So I had the Bunking rider pegs on here, but they had a bracket, that sat right here, and then the peg started. So it had me way out here in La La Land. It's about 2.5 inches further out, if you can believe that, with how wide those look. So I decided to get the matching kit with the mini floorboards I put on for my wife. She absolutely loves those. And then I swapped out my spark plug wires. Harley makes the Screaming Eagle spark plug wires in Screaming Eagle orangish color and with black lettering, and then reverse, black with the orange lettering. And then they make a red one with black lettering, but not for the Sportster. They make those three colors pretty much for all other bikes, but the Sportster doesn't get it. So we had to go aftermarket. I did order this from a local Harley. It was pretty much the same price, but they're not quite as fat as the Harley ones. but it works. I think it looks fine. It's just something sleek to add just a tad bit more red here because I got the big fat red air cleaner on that side. So that's all the red pretty much I'm planning to do to the bike. This is just plasti dipped, and it was great. Other than the DK Customs kit, I put the wrong wash on there, so I nicked that all up. I don't know if you can see that down there, but I'm planning to plasti dip that so it's all smooth, clean, and looks as good as this air cleaner, which I also plasti dip. This is not stock, but we can go into, like I said, go into details about all the mods in full at a later date when it's nice and sunny out, maybe next weekend. Next weekend might be a good time to do that. Talk about some of the future mods. I got a lot of stuff in the garage right now waiting to go on. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I'll start it up and walk around it so you can just hear the exhaust a little bit. With me not being on the bike, you kind of know what it sounds like when I'm on it. So let's start it up and give her a little cookie, shall we? But you can see the color and just kind of see, hey, this is my style. So obviously you all know it's warmed up already, and that sounds good. I'll even talk about my exhaust story at a later date, because I went with slip-ons first, and they were Cobra as well. This is the Cobra El Diablo 2-in-1 pipe. I had Cobra slip-ons in chrome matching the stock heads, and those were actually great for the intended purpose I had it. My horsepower and torque numbers actually haven't been ran with this pipe on, so I do need to use my FP3, which I have mounted under the battery cover there, and tune it, but I didn't want to do a new auto-tune session with it being in the mid-40s right now, because that's not really going to be realistic to the majority of the ride that I'm doing. I'm thinking when the weather starts to creep up around 60, 65, I'll probably do it, because I do ride, a couple months of the year when the weather is well below that 65 number, so maybe it'll be a little bit more balanced. But who knows, I might wait till we start seeing some 70s. But yeah, bike's great. I like this pipe way better than the slip-ons I had. As far as aesthetics go, it's loud, but I don't think obnoxious, right? Like this year in our, with the houses being butted up a little close to each other, to our neighbors, as long as I'm not sitting there just letting it heat up for 20 minutes, it's still not crazy loud. I've heard some rippers, and this is kind of, I would say, middle-ish of the road in the whole 2-in-1s at idle. But this is warmed up, so it sounds a little bit different when it's idle and cold. But even when you give it some cookie, I'll try to, I can't get too far behind it. But it sounds mean when you want it to sound mean, but it's still never really obnoxious. So I like it. Alright, well, I think I'm going to call it here. Actually, I might ride with the camera on, though, just for a little bit. Well, no, I don't need to do that. I'll cut the video here. I appreciate those of you who tuned in to listen to me ramble. We'll just call this video first moto vlog. Maybe when I play it back and listen to it, there's some theme that presents itself. I guess I talked about ABS a little bit, but there's a little more rambling, a little less come to this video for knowledge about this specific thing. So I'll probably start crafting out some topics. So call it my intro video. That's too long for that, but video numero uno, and we'll just leave it at that. But thanks for, checking this video out. If you happen to, feel free to subscribe. I'll be trying to get some videos out on somewhat of a regular basis. But otherwise, talk to you guys later. I appreciate you listening.